ahead and get started with this one. Hello, happy campers. Spike.
Chris.
And the show is geeking out. We're
Happy New Year's.
finally made it to 2022. Should have known 2021 was going to turn on us. Because when I said, thank goodness 2020 is over, hopefully 2021 will be better. And 2020 just rolled its eyes and said, you'll never learn. And 2021 stuck out its foot and tripped me. I should have known. This year was going to bite the big Valboski, and by golly, it sure did. We're recording on January 2nd, 2022.
Yep.
And we lost Betty White this past week. She was 99, just, 17 days short?
She was
of her 100th
99.
birthday.
Her birthday, I think, was on the 17th. Or something like that.
That's well, I'm not even going to say that's sad, because now she's back with Alan Ludden, her husband that she's always cared for, and they're sharing their secret passwords for eternity now, so that's a good thing. But hey,
But still, it's one of those, like, hey, before we say goodbye, let me kick you in the nuts just one last time.
One last shot, yeah. So
it's like, thank you.
But anyway, so goodbye, Betty. You will be missed,
Definitely.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye on you in the Golden Girls reruns and Mary Tyler Moore reruns and Password reruns and Match Game reruns, and boy, oh boy, I didn't know she was she actually started her television career in 1939 with an experimental TV station. This was back before the FCC actually started coming up with ground rules and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Buddy White actually built that experimental radio, that experimental TV station, probably in a cave from a box of scraps, too. So, goodbye, Betty. We all love you. Let's move on. And like I said, 2021 is over, but
yeah, let's hope this year is way better. Or at least let's try to make it better.
Well, we'll see. But for now, it's the beginning of 2022, which means if this is the first show of 2022, you know what that means. It's the obligatory What Happened in 2021 episode. Chris has put together a list of what he considers the 20 best movies of 2021, and it turns out Chris has actually seen 20 movies in 2021. We sat down. I'm shocked I actually saw as many movies as I did. Shocked, I say, because I don't remember I didn't remember half of these until you brought them back up.
Let's just say this, okay? I've actually seen more than 20 movies, surprisingly, and I'm also going to say this list is going to make a lot of people mad, because there is one movie that people will not shut up about that I know I have ranted about for, 2 years or so about?
Yeah.
That is not on the list.
Ooh.
And that is Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I don't want to hear about Zack Snyder's Justice League. It came and went.
It's not on the list. I'm sorry, but it's not.
I'll tell you what. All these little things they pushed in order to get people to pay for their phony baloney streaming subscriptions and stuff.
Yeah.
I never signed up for HBO Max. Still have not. And the thing is, that's where they have all the Warner stuff. I like the old Warner stuff, all the classic Warner stuff, but I don't want to pay $15 a month just to watch old Pinky and the Brain reruns.
Yeah.
Heck with that. So I for the life of me, I have not seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. I barely remember the jumbled dark mess that was Justice League to begin with, although that came out before the first Wonder Woman, didn't it?
Yeah.
The Justice League movie.
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
and Wonder Woman, you could actually almost see things, and then Shazam, they actually had proper lighting, and now they have the new sparkly Batman getting ready to release, and he is so fabulous in this new movie. But that's coming up in 22. Let's talk about 2021. Yeah. So heck with Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I do want to point out, I do have one news item that I told you about and got me excited. Yeah. Just want to throw this out there. Yeah. Disney Plus is working on a live-action Zorro series. Just throwing that out there. I'm excited about that. Well, I am excited about it. I'm like ready for this.
I want to
I'm
know.
just-
Okay, hold on. I want to know how many
Oh no.
actual Hispanics are involved in the production of the new Zorro series. Because, and I say this, they never had that much to do with them before.
Well, yeah, but it's a big difference.
Zorro, mighty whitey. So, and has been in the past. So, question is, will they go tripping down? Oh, don't worry about it. Will they go tripping down the little woke pathway or not? I don't know. But,
I don't think so. I don't think so. But
I hope not. But hey,
we'll see. They do have what's his name? Valderrama. Wilmer Valderrama. Yeah, he's in it.
okay, if you say so.
He he played on that '70s show, and he did the voice for Bob the Builder. I think it was. Was it Bob the Builder or something?
Something.
Whatever. But yeah.
Anywho, so what? Hey, why don't we actually talk about some of the movies from 2021 that we're supposed to be talking about? Chris?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, starting off with number 20. Yeah, we're going to do a countdown.
Oh, hold on. Before we start, I just saw that over on Vudu you can actually pre-order Ghostbusters Afterlife. It'll be available January 4th. So this coming Tuesday. And did you hear about the Ultimate Bundle they're coming up with for Ghostbusters?
Yes. I am so
and the whole collection is shaped in a box that looks like a ghost trap.
we got to get that.
And it's got Ghostbusters. It's got the original Ghostbusters on 4K. It's got Ghostbusters 2 on 4K. It's got Afterlife on 4K.
Yeah.
And it's got making of and all kinds of special content and stuff. And a little link to download Answer the Call with the little redemption code if you absolutely must. That is hilarious. I
cannot wait for that. And I know Paul Fig is actually mad.
He's a little torqued. Yeah.
Because they're not putting in his 2016 all-female Ghostbusters.
Can I say this? Okay, now, Paul Feig. I'm not going to say anything about Paul Feig, okay? Except this. I wouldn't hire that man to direct my ants into the nearest raid ant bait, okay? What this little jerk has done, what this little jerk did, he actually embarrassed Sony by doing this. He went out and said, well, why isn't my movie included? Because for one thing, your movie is not considered included with the canon. This is a canon collection. 1, 2, and Afterlife, it makes 3. Okay?
Yeah,
so this is the ultimate Ghost. You, Paul Feig, you little so-and-so, you were the one who took it in an entirely different direction because you didn't think Ghostbusters was good enough to begin with. No. You were going to improve it. You were the one who decided to take it out of continuity and put a bunch of crap in and humiliate everybody involved with past movies, and you are shocked now that they are blowing you off. So, sucks for you, Paul Feig. But he had to have known that there would be a redemption code built into this thing, because you can't just, even Sony cannot just snap its fingers and come up with a redemption system where you can get a digital copy of this thing online. Okay?
Yep.
It doesn't work that way. You've got to have planning. You've got to have the files translated properly. You've got to put it up to wherever it's going to go. Fandango, Vudu, wherever it's going to go. Movies Anywhere. It's got to be up there on the apps where you can find it. And then you got to come up with a coding scheme where you can redeem it, because you'll have to pay somebody to process the redemptions for a while until it expires. So I would be curious to see how many, out of all the people who buy the Ultimate Collection, how many will actually download that movie? How many will redeem that code? I imagine it won't be too many. But hey. Hey, let's talk about movies from 2021, Chris.
Okay. Coming in at number 20 is In the Heights. It is based off of a Broadway play by I can never say his name right.
Lin Miranda.
Yes.
Yes.
And his name will actually appear 2 more times on this list.
Oh, that's a darn shame.
Well, he is a genius when it comes to writing music, okay? In the Heights is a fantastic movie
Mm-hmm.
if you love musicals, okay? If you're not, then that's fine. This movie is just about a bunch of low-class working people. They're in a hot summer, just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a love story, there's coming of age and stuff like that. So, yes, number 20 is In the Heights. 19, The Tomorrow War.
Mm.
This was
I'm trying to remember that one.
It was an Amazon Prime movie.
Oh, that explains why I didn't see it.
With
Okay.
Chris Pratt, where basically, so basically the premise of the story is, in the future, there's a huge war against men and aliens, and they send people back in time to recruit regular people who has no military training to come to the future to fight. Yeah, I know. It's a lot, but surprisingly, it was actually a pretty good movie. It was actually pretty good. It's like you either fight or you die somehow. So
that's that. Chris Pratt is one of those guys. He's politically active, and he's one of those master trolls in the Trump style.
sure.
But actually, he's a little more talented than Trump because he can actually, act.
Yeah.
And he does get involved with some decent projects and stuff. It's an interesting idea where you need to get involved in something or you're just going to fade into irrelevance. It's what Matrix 1 did and Matrix 4 ignored.
So that's a good way. That's a good way of putting it.
Red pill means you get engaged, and blue pill means you're nothing. Just go right back into the background where you belong.
Like
Because
for the future,
you bought into it. Fight for the future or go away. Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Okay, so that's 2. What do we got 3?
Number 18 is Godzilla versus Kong. Of course, this was like the most anticipated movie. Of course, this was also one of those movies that did not really come to theaters. It was mostly on HBO Max because that was when they decided, hey, we're just going to release our entire movie schedule on HBO Max because, well,
They think they'd make more money doing it that way.
yeah, and they were wrong.
And they were very, very wrong.
Very wrong. It was actually horrible, and it should have been better. I don't know. When it came to the actual fight scenes, yeah, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But that was also maybe 2 fight scenes, and then that's it. The rest of it was about humans. So yeah. Number 17 is Finding Ohana. This movie is, if you don't know what Ohana means, it means family.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. It's about a family in Hawaii that decides to go on an adventure, and I kid you not, this is literally a rip-off of The Goonies, just set in Hawaii. And I kid you not, I love it. It was actually really good. You also got to see some Hawaiian actors that you have not seen since Miami Vice. There's a few that popped
Hawaii
in
5-0.
there. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that one. Sorry, my bad. Not Miami Vice.
It should be your...
Hawaii 5-0. Wow. Whoa, what happened there? But yeah, so... I just feel like a fool now.
Oh, you just feel like one?
Oh,
No.
hush. But yeah, number 16 is Black Widow.
Okay, we've actually come to a movie I've seen.
Yes.
Now, as IIRC, this is one of those girl power movies. I didn't think it was so bad when I saw it, but It's kind of like drinking a warm diet soda. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good it might taste going down. It's after about after a little while you start getting that aftertaste, and you're like, oh man, that just tastes like filth in my mouth. Black Widow turned into like filth in my soul because you could tell all along that every male in Black Widow was an idiot. They didn't treat it. There may have been one out of the entire movie, and that's asking me to go back a while. I'll tell you this: I have not seen the movie a second time.
No,
I have no desire to see this movie a second time. So,
Yeah.
Black Widow, it was a good try. The poor Black Widow project. It kept getting delayed over and over. I think
Yeah.
it got delayed twice before it finally actually met its release date. And that had to be in the middle of summer, and by that point, everybody was like,
I think like Black Widow was an alright movie to me, but it is the first time where I saw another character completely steal the entire movie, and that was, of course, Elena, who's Black Widow's sister.
Yeah.
She literally stole everything. I mean, I want to see more of her than what I do Black Widow. So, yeah.
Can I take a quick detour for a second?
Sure.
Okay, I'm a veteran, okay? I'm registered with a group called vettix.org. Basically, there are people who will donate like seats that they can't use, or venues will donate seats for the tax write-off and stuff. So if you're a veteran, you can qualify for this and you'll be able to go. You'll get opportunities to get free tickets to a given event that's supposed to be near you. Now, here in Kentucky, like I said, being registered for VetTix, there's not that many opportunities, but there's a bunch of them up like Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, that area. Okay, I've just got an email from VetTix letting me know that they still have 100 tickets left for an NBA G League team. This is basically like their minor league. It's the Cleveland Charge versus the Windy City Bulls. Okay, they have 100 tickets left on this because it's Pride Night. How many veterans are going to go to a Pride Night, especially for a minor league basketball game? Want to take your kids to a Pride Night? Do you know what a Pride Night is, Chris?
I'm taking it. I mean, I'm pretty
Pride
sure
Night is where everybody walks in swishing. Okay? So you either dress up in drag or you go over with your boyfriend and you and you just give each other razor stubble burn or something. I don't know.
For a basketball game?
For a basketball game.
I didn't know basketball games did stuff.
But frankly,
like that.
I'm surprised they could get 100 people to show up for this game to begin with, much less a Pride Night. But hey, that would be wrong of me to say. Not that I actually care. But anyway, so that takes care of, where were we, at Black Widow?
Yes.
So what do we got?
Next one is, I know you haven't seen this movie, but number 15 is Red Notice. It has Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot. It is basically a thief movie where...
Wait, was there an egg in this one?
Actually, yes, there was an egg
Okay,
in this
because
one.
the only way I know about this movie, and this is not a joke, is because everybody, the entire internet wrestling community, the IWC, was laughing their collective heads off at Vince McMahon because on the Monday Night Raw after, I believe it was Survivor Series, whatever their pay-per-view was, he had an egg that The Rock had given him, and it was supposed to be worth $100 million, and then the egg disappeared, and then it turns out somebody had borrowed the egg because he wanted to take selfies with it or something, and Vince McMahon was like, my egg, and then took him under his wing or something. This is the only way I know about this movie. I have no idea how much this movie made. I don't care. To be honest, the only reason I'm tolerating The Rock right now is because Black Adam hasn't been released yet. And I'm waiting for that because it's Black Adam, not because it's The Rock.
Well,
So, yeah, it's a Red Notice, yet another thief movie about an egg. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it came on Netflix. I really enjoyed it because Gal Gadot, who's better known as Wonder Woman, she plays like the bad guy
Yeah.
in it, and she does such a good job. She's very wicked in the movie. And of course, Ryan Reynolds is funny as always. So, yeah. I mean, it's great. 14. Okay, now bear with me on this.
I thought for a second the name of the movie was 14. But go ahead,
No.
number 14. What do we got?
Bear with me on this. This is another Netflix movie. It is called Space Sweepers.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has everybody from every country in this movie. And they all speak pretty much, well, they all know each other. Like, you know, if I'm talking to somebody from China, I actually understand what he's saying and he understands me. Literally everybody. This is a future space movie about literally a bunch of space janitors. No, hear me out. Hear me out. Also, this movie, they're just trying to make a quick buck. They're janitors cleaning up after meteors hitting, you know, everything. And they come across this robot child that is supposed to be, it's used for something. And they literally protect it because there's people after it. This movie literally has fun, exciting adventure, and the best special effects that I have ever seen for a Netflix movie. Like, this movie is crazy. Crazy fun. Space Sweepers. Watch that. You will love it. Trust me on this. It is so funny.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it, but I'm still not going to subscribe to Netflix just to see it.
I mean, you know, that's fine.
Yeah, moving on.
Number 13.
Lucky 13
is The Suicide Squad.
It was better than the first one, but
Yes.
boy, that is a low bar to clear. Now, I know they're working on. Is it an HBO Max project for Peacemaker with
Yes.
John Cena?
Yes, it's already been done and it's coming out.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. The Suicide Squad, like I said, this one was much better than the first one.
Yeah.
This one actually used. This is the first time since Batman the Animated Series that I've seen Harley Quinn used properly.
Yes.
Okay. Embrace the insanity. Do just to see the world through her Looney Tunes eyes is worth the price of admission. And if you happen to swing that way, surely seeing John Cena in his tidy whities might work for you. But
Ugh.
yeah. We just ate too. That's bad. Anyway, so the Suicide Squad wasn't so bad. That was probably Warner Brothers' one redeeming grace from this past year.
Yeah, I mean, the characters are fun. I didn't care too much for the over violent scenes, but
yeah, again, the Suicide Squad. They think it is because they're all villains. Okay, your protagonists are all villains that are being forced to battle on the side of the angels, supposedly. So they're all ultra violent and stuff, and whatever it takes. Hopefully, these people, there's a time and a place for it. Unfortunately, this is a good concept that got hampered by that hyper-violence.
yeah.
So, hyper-violence has its place, and it's not anywhere near me.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit too much of that for me, and but all in all, the movie was fun, and yeah, definitely better than the original.
Yeah.
Number 12 is Jungle Cruise.
Hated it.
Yeah. Okay.
This is one of those Disney movies that they made because they managed to get The Rock.
Yeah.
Okay. Jungle Cruise.
Did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
I know the concept. I've seen the trailer ad nauseum. I've seen a bunch of stuff about this, and I believe it's on Disney Plus now,
Yes,
isn't it?
it is on Disney
Still haven't
Plus.
seen it. if there's any indication that the bloom is off the rocks rose, it was the Jungle Cruise movie. Jungle Cruise made the haunted mansion look like one of the Pirates of the Caribbean's little things. So it's, you really have to take the basic concept of Jungle Cruise. This is not the African Queen by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, this isn't even the Dairy Queen. Okay, this is somebody. Okay, we've got a movie set on a boat that goes down a river through a jungle, and we have The Rock on it. Have fun for the next 2 hours, kids, because that's all the effort we're going to put into it.
Yeah.
Meh.
This movie was basically The Rock being The Rock. And I kind of got tired of that. Emily Blunt was also very just like way over the top.
Blunt?
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I did like about this movie, which is very short, I did love some of the bad guys. And I also loved The Rock's background story. Because that, to me, should have been the movie.
You're right. It should have been the movie. Because that would involve, character development. That would have been nice, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. I wish they would have done that. Number 11. Venom 2. Let There Be Carnage.
I actually sat down and tried to read the books that this was based on. It was one of the Spider-Man collections. It was Ultimate Carnage or whatever it was called. But it was all about Carnage and his girlfriend, and they're killing off a bunch of people, and Spider-Man and Venom have to learn to live with each other, and so for some reason the Black Cat's thrown in there, and I tried reading the original books back in the 90s that this movie was based on. The movie is better, but it suffers from the same problem that the Suicide Squad movie suffered from. The bar is so low. It's easy to get over it. You don't have to make a lot of effort. The movie was not that good.
No.
Okay. I said, spoiler alert, when Venom shows up at the very last scene at the end of the credits of Spider-Man No Way Home, it actually, believe it or not, it took me 5 seconds to realize who this idiot was on the screen. Because you don't see Venom, you're seeing Eddie Brock, and you're hearing Venom talking in the background, and I'm like, I waited for this? Because that's 5 minutes worth of credits, pal.
Also, the fact that they showed him, and yet at the end of Venom, he was blipped into that world, and then or not blipped, but he was like...
Yeah, he was shunted into the world, and then shunted back out.
Yeah, and it's like, so you're not going nowhere with this?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Oh, well, you left behind a piece. So I guess
that's all right. I'm guessing that the movie makers did that just as a kind of little wink to the Spider fans who don't care for Venom much. He shows up, does nothing except run up a bar tab, and then right back out. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, Venom was just... It was okay in some parts, but then it got really rushed.
Yeah. Venom is a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Okay? Venom is one of those things, it's a comic book property that has just the one trick. It's why the Punisher is usually so poorly done, because the Punisher can be a one-trick pony if all you stick to is the punishing. Yeah. And if all you're sticking to with Venom is the venning, then that's all you get. And you can only see sharp teeth eating people so often, and you're like, what am I watching here? Why am I wasting my time here? And that movie was not short. Venom was, 2 hours long? At least.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. That
didn't need to be.
That was a 30-minute sitcom, not a 2-hour theatrical release. But hey, at least it wasn't Jungle Cruise. So, and be honest, it was better than Black Widow, but just barely.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to mention that this list, this top 20, are not just movies I've seen. These are movies that I literally ranked from bad to kind of to getting good. Okay.
So you're ranking these from lousy to not so lousy to
Yes.
unlousy. Okay.
So now we are on the top 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
that ain't saying much for what's been 2021.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So we finally made it to the top 10. We're only 30 minutes into the episode. So
Yeah.
let's go.
Number 10, Old.
I kind of wanted to see that movie, but it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, right?
Yes.
I have no confidence at all in M. Night Shyamalan anymore.
I loved this movie because it was a pure mystery. It was trying to figure out with them, and it's like there's puzzle clues that you literally have to gather up to be like, oh, so that's why this is happening, or this is who's behind it. And it literally kind of reminded me of like the old mysteries along with like Hitchcock feel to it, you know?
See, I'm into that kind of suspense mystery type of thing, but it has to be really well done, or if you lose me in a suspense movie, you don't just lose me, you tick me off.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at the guy who didn't see The Sixth Sense for 10 years. Okay, I finally sat down and watched the one. Sat down and watched The Sixth Sense, and I was like, hey, that was actually a pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
It took me 10 years to actually build up the gumption to see that movie. Do I want to see it again? No. But it was, like I said, if you lose me on a suspense movie, if you make a misstep, I have given up on Hitchcock movies because, I love Alfred Hitchcock, but he didn't always get it right either.
Maybe using Hitchcock, it was a bad idea. This is more of a really good Twilight Zone episode.
Which is another thing too. I will give up on a Twilight Zone episode if I'm like, this is dragging on, especially those hour-long things. The Twilight Zone the Twilight Zone was one of those properties where you can come up with a good idea for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
CBS demanded getting an hour for a season or two, and the quality just went straight into the toilet because nobody can keep this up for an hour, and then it went back to a half hour, but by then the damage was done. With Old, I never quite overcame the reluctance I had to see it because M. Night Shyamalan. If I did not know he was the director of the film, if I didn't know he was involved, I probably would have gone to see the film in the theaters, or at least I would have seen it on. I would have at least seen it on DVD or something by now.
M. Night is just one of those that it's like he has hits and misses.
He's a polarizing guy.
But it's Old is just one of those films that I think, to you might watch it and be like, eh. Me, I watched it and was thinking, people don't do this type of movie necessarily.
Yeah.
It's
because
hard to find stuff like this.
I know enough about the concept. I know enough about the concept. It does take a few risks because it's going to be easy to lose your audience, especially when you do a mystery. It's easy to lose the audience.
Because it does one of those things where it's like the camera's like focusing on one person and then it turns to the other person and then it turns to the other person. So it uses like cinematography like it does, like they do in like Hitchcock movies and Twilight Zone stuff and a really good mystery where it's like, what is this person feeling right now? The shock on their look on their face and the shock on this person's face and
it's kind of like Knives Out because it took me forever to finally see that film. And it's a little foul languaged for me, but it was actually a pretty good film. But, So I'll take your word on it. Maybe I'll sit down and actually watch Old one of these days, but it's going to have to turn up on...
Yeah, that's fine.
It'll turn up on one of my subscription services. I was about to say prescription services, but meh. So what are we up to, number 9?
Number 9. This is another movie by Lin himself.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, or whatever his name is, yeah.
It's called Vivo. This is an animated movie on Netflix about, basically it's a really good Cuban love story. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it's good, that you can watch it and just feel comfortable with watching.
Mhm.
But it's not one of those like a Disney film to where it's like, oh my goodness, this is kids are gonna love this or anything like that. It's just a really good. It's like poetry,
Mhm.
done with Cuban music and just I can't really explain it. It's like that extra spice that you put on food that you're just like that hits the spot. That's literally what it is.
Hmm.
It's a good movie.
I'll take your word for it. I've never heard of it before this moment, so I have no opinion
I
on
told
this.
you about this a while back, where I told you there's this love story between these two singers in Cuba, and she becomes more famous.
Oh, that's right, because I thought you were talking about the song Copacabana.
Oh.
That was about the time I stopped paying attention. But
Okay,
yes,
never mind.
I don't care. I don't even eat Cuban sandwiches. I don't care. Unless wake me up if there's a missile crisis. Until then, go ahead.
Number 8.
Yay!
Raya and the Last Dragon.
Why?
Because the art is beautiful in this movie. The dragon played by no, that's gonna kill my. That's gonna be killing me. It's like my goodness.
Well, he expects me to bail him out here.
What is her name?
You would like me to look up the cast. I've got my.
I see you have it here. I'm just looking for her name.
It's time to call up IMDb. Here we go.
Aquafina. Thank you. Okay. So, yes, Aquafina.
Why would I care about her? She's named after a bottle of water. God, she's going to be Scuttle in The Little Mermaid in 2023. That's a darn shame.
Aquafina is actually pretty funny. When she first appeared in stuff, I was like, man, she's really annoying because she has kind of this annoying voice. But then after a while, I was like, she's actually pretty goofy and funny. But anyway, she plays the dragon in the movie, and it's just really great because she's really funny and also innocent. And the story of the dragons are just very unique. And the story all around, I actually really did enjoy it. But mostly the artwork. Like, it is really beautifully done.
Well, it's a Disney film, and even though the story's been suffering in Disney films for a while, they always do, well, almost always do the animation justice. And especially after they acquired Pixar and sniped all their top talent for the Walt Disney feature animation, which Pixar still hasn't really recovered from very well. But although I have seen reports that Walt Disney feature animation is trying to recruit 2D animators again. Apparently they've come to realize that 3D animation isn't always appropriate for every story, which is, oddly enough, something somebody said on this show 3 years ago. But anyway. And it has been 3 years. Good Lord. That's a shame.
Surprise!
Anyway, number 7. Moving on. What we got?
Number 7. This one's going to surprise you. Clifford the Big Red Dog. That's right. I said it. Clifford the Big Red Dog.
It's one of the top 10 movies of the year. Okay.
To me, it is, at least. Look,
that's because you're a big old goof.
This movie, when I saw the trailer for the film, I was like, this kind of reminds me of Paddington, the movie. And I kid you not, Paddington, if you have never seen Paddington, you're going to be surprised about how good this actually was. Same thing with Clifford the Big Red Dog. I went and watched this, and there was actually a whole lot of cute jokes, but there was also a lot of really adult jokes too. Where there's a scene where the doctor has to take the temperature of the dog from Kenan Thompson in that scene as the doctor. It's priceless. But yeah, The movie's actually really, really good. It's really good family film. Um,
Oh, I didn't know it had John Cleese in it as
it's
Bridwell, which is just coincidental. That's the name of the author of Clifford the Big Red Dog books. But hey,
huh, I
and
didn't know
he
that.
would be the kind of smart aleck who would go in and do that because he's the one who introduces the family to Clifford and stuff, and apparently tells her that how big will he get? Well, that depends on how much you love him. I love him this much. Sure thing, Emily. So, whee! And that is exactly something John Cleese would do. So, John Cleese sighting, okay.
It's a
I'm
really,
still not
it's,
going to go see it, but hey, I'm not going to screw up my eyes and stick my tongue out at you if you go see it, because if you tell me it's for John Cleese.
it's a really cute movie.
If you're going to see it for
It's a cute
Aquafina,
film.
you're nuts. But go ahead.
Aquafina's
Not in that
not
movie.
in
I
that one.
know. I don't care.
All
I
right,
got
number 6.
yay. 6 to go.
There is a lot of people that may have not have seen or heard about this movie, but right now it
Like
is
me?
on the talk of the town.
Yeah.
It is called Don't Look Up. It is a movie on Netflix starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and a huge star cast about a meteor literally coming to Earth and about to wipe out humanity, and humanity's stupidity. Yeah, it's stupidity. Like, they literally focus on how the world is now and their stupidity,
Mm.
knowing that there is something bigger that is about to literally wipe everybody out. This movie is amazingly, one, funny, two, so truthful, and the ending, I have never seen the world being destroyed so beautifully. Like, there was this one scene that was so great that it was like in the background, everything's blowing up, and you see this Native American in all of his headdress doing a dance, and it's like, wow, like it's like, wow, that right there just took my breath away. I loved it. It is a really good movie. It's on Netflix. If you've never seen Don't Look Up, you need to watch it.
No, don't.
I
Don't
mean,
look for it. Anyway.
it's really, really
I'll take your word for it,
impressive,
but
though.
again, this is not something that'll convince me to subscribe to Netflix.
It's
All right?
it's like, I'm not trying to convince you to.
No, I'm not. I know you're not, but
But it's funny how, like, you have Leonardo DiCaprio playing this scientist who's like trying to warn everybody, and everybody's so stupid. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Before we start the top 5, I got a little thing here, a little sidetrack. MeTV has 16 shows that started in 1982. So all these TV shows are turning 40 this year. Let's go to get a quick hit from you, Chris. Your reaction on these. At the Movies with Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert started in 1982. Do you remember this show?
Hell yes, they're the reasons why I love movies. I didn't agree with most of the things that they did, but they didn't even agree with some of the things that they said.
Oh, that's true. They did.
The only thing that I do know is that my favorite movie of all time, The Rocketeer, that a lot of people has never heard of or seen, they gave 2 thumbs up with, and I'm okay with that.
Number 2, Cagney and Lacey. Do you know anything about this show?
Sadly, yes.
So, that's all you got to say. Okay,
No.
number 3, Cheers.
Where everybody knows your name.
I got to admit, that sitcom has actually stood the test of time. I didn't think of much of it at the time. When it first came out, but after I grew up a little bit, and I was like, hey, this actually isn't bad. So,
yeah, I still watch it,
to
actually.
be honest, I knew the Woody era before I knew the Coach era, which is a darn shame because the Coach era is awesome in its own way. Number 4, Fame. Do you remember Fame?
Let's move on.
Number 5, Family Ties. I'll say let's move on. Number 6, Knight Rider. I know you remember Knight Rider.
Of course I remember Knight Rider.
God, I remember the Friday night this premiered in 1982. It premiered Friday night on NBC because it came right after the premiere of another show called The Powers of Matthew Starr. Do you remember that show at all?
No.
No, because it shows up on MeTV Sunday mornings about 7 a.m. That's the only place in the world you'll see The Powers of Matthew Starr. But the one with the talking car, Kit's cool. So
Yeah.
number 7, Late Night with David Letterman. Did you know this did not start till '82?
No, I did not.
This was one of Johnny Carson's first spin-offs because David Letterman was one of his best fill-in hosts up to that point, and Carson was so impressed he gave him the show after. Because NBC, up until that point, the Tonight Show had been 90 minutes long, and Carson didn't want to do 90 minutes night after night. He wanted to do 60 minutes. So, in order to get NBC on board, Carson developed Late Night with David Letterman and gave it to David Letterman, which is lucky because it was called Late Night with David Letterman.
I just want to say, no offense against Carson himself, but the fact that he saw something in David Letterman questions some stuff.
David Letterman was a lot funnier in 1982 than he was at pretty much any time after the 80s. Okay?
Well, then maybe that's the reason why I just...
David Letterman on CBS was not the David Letterman of NBC. I'll say that. If you get a chance to see Larry Bud Millman or who else was involved, Chris Elliott, the old top 10 lists, those things, those were freaking hilarious because you didn't get the top 10 lists every night. You only got top 10 lists back then when they had something funny to say. And they came up with 10 good punchlines. And then, anyway. Newhart. I love this show. Oh my goodness, I adore Bob.
This is my brother Daryl.
My name is Larry. This is my brother Daryl, and this is my other brother Daryl.
Yeah.
I actually saw the scene not too long ago where they came up with an advertising jingle and won a contest. So they won $30,000. They split it. Each one takes $10,000.
Oh my goodness!
Each one takes $10,000, and Daryl takes off with his $10,000. He's going to leave a hedonistic lifestyle. And then Larry comes in and introduces himself to the Stratford Inn as, "Hi, I'm Larry, and this is my other brother, Daryl." That was worth the idea of seeking out Newhart after all that time. Okay, Police Squad. Tell me you remember Police Squad. In color.
I remember it, but I don't
This
think
was
I've ever watched it.
This was the Airplane Guys, the TV show. It had Leslie Nielsen, and this is what inspired all those movies, the Naked Gun movies that came after. This was like, it only lasted like 12 or 13 episodes. I actually have the series on DVD because it had to be preserved. This was the most hilarious half hour. When this went away and they came up with Sledgehammer a few years later, I actually started digging Sledgehammer because it was like Dirty Harry on Police Squad. And then the second season, they just stopped giving a crap because everybody got a pay raise and they just blew it all on hookers and coke. So it was just... And speaking of the Powers of Matthew Star, they're at number 10, the Powers of Matthew Star. Like I said, it had Lou Gossett Jr. in it. He was the one. He was Matthew Star was supposed to be an alien prince, and he and his guardian, Lou Gossett Jr., crash land on Earth. And so Lou Gossett Jr. has to protect Matthew Star from all the enemies trying to kill him and stuff so they can take over the kingdom. And so Lou Gossett winds up being like his high school teacher or something to try to cover it. So, and Peter Barton, the guy who played Matthew Star, nearly died in the show. So that's awesome. So anyway, Remington Steele. Do you remember this one? This was the one that had Pierce Brosnan in it.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan was supposed to be James Bond, and NBC wouldn't let him out of his contract. Remington Steele sucked wind in the ratings because Remington Steele was basically Moonlighting before its time. Okay, when Moonlighting came out like 3 or 4 years after, it just caught fire and set the whole world on fire because it was time. Remington Steele came out too early, but because MGM wanted Pierce Brosnan for James Bond, NBC was like, no, you have to pay us millions of dollars to let him out of his contract. And MGM was like, F you. And then they went and got, I think it was Timothy Dalton to take over. Anyway. So, Ripley's Believe It or Not with Jack Palance. This was the most awesome freak show in the history of television. That first came out in 82.
I love that show.
It says the syndicated series was basically our internet sharing unbelievable tales that had to be shared, only we had to use our mouths. that pretty much sums up Ripley's, believe it or not. Silver Spoons. Remember that one?
Yeah.
With Joel Higgins and what's his name? I can't remember Ricky's name.
Schroeder?
Ricky Schroeder, yeah.
Schroeder?
So anyway, so basically, a boy and a grown boy is kind of like Arthur the dad, but
It was alright.
and here's Square Pegs, the most overrated show of all time. Okay, I know there's a bunch of people who say Sarah Jessica Parker was awesome in it. A bunch of people saying that this was the forerunner for Freaks and Geeks, which is another highly overrated show.
Yeah. I missed that shit.
It had the waitresses, it had Devo, it had all kinds of stuff. Bill Murray was a guest star. That's all I need to say. Square Pegs, overrated. And you can just quote that. Number 15, Saint Elsewhere. The beloved who must not be named adored this song. I was about to say this song, but she does love the song that came with it. But it was a it came from the NTM studio, which they had just ended the run on WKRP, and they were doing pretty well with Hill Street Blues, so they wanted to make a side project go with Hill Street Blues. And then, because NBC liked that, so they came up with St. Elsewhere, which is basically Hill Street Blues in a hospital.
Huh.
And, of course, years later, it would go right down the drain because it was all supposed to be the dream of an autistic kid. This is the first time anybody had heard of autism in the mainstream, because it was all supposed to have happened inside a snow globe that an autistic kid was staring at. Yes, that's the way all of America reacted when that ended.
I was like...
Oh, and it had Denzel Washington and Howie Mandel in it. So, there's that. And finally, T.J. Hooker, the best cop show of all time. After Kojak and Adam 12 and about 15 other cop shows I can name.
T.J. Hooker was the only show that I kind of actually want to see that I never actually got to see.
This is hilarious because it actually turns up on one of these channels, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was, I think you can actually find it on Pluto TV once in a while. Just hang around like the crime drama or the drama channels, and you'll see T.J. Hooker playing every once in a while. But this is Shatner at his shattiest, so love it, love it, love it. So anyway, so 1982, I remember at the time I was 11 years old, and I was all bummed out because WKRP had gone off, and all of a sudden there's all these good shows on, and I'm like, hey, there's actually good shows on.
And then there was me.
And then there was you. Win some, lose some, you know. You're a winner, buddy. You're a winner. Don't ever forget that. Winner, winner. Okay, 53 minutes in. We got 5 to go. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Chris, please tell me I've seen any of these 5 movies.
Number 5, Shang-Chi.
Nope, didn't see it.
Shang-Chi was the new Marvel movie that, of course, hit and ended up becoming a pretty big success. Is it the 10 Rings or the...
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah, 10 Rings. Okay. I was, for some reason, I was like, is it 10 Rings? But yeah, Shang-Chi was a really good movie.
Mm.
I enjoyed it.
Mm.
I also probably need to watch it again because I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff.
Mm.
But it was one of those movies where I did enjoy the chemistry between Awkwafina and Shang-Chi. I can't remember the actor's name, but I love those two dynamic and the background story and the way it was told and the fact that we also get to know who, how easy it was for to become a good guy that turns into a bad guy because of power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Still don't care. Okay. But at least it has Awkwafina in it, so that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Uh-huh.
Free Guy.
Didn't see this one either. I know you've been trying to talk me into seeing this thing.
Goodness.
It seems like a decent concept. You just go, a bank teller finds out he's a non-playable character in a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He, played by Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, let me tell you, okay, I just now got into watching people play on Twitch and seeing them do role play on GTA and all that stuff. This movie was right up my alley, but also this movie is just so hilarious and also very unique that it was so well worthy to watch. Of course, Ryan Reynolds is freaking hilarious.
You just liked it because they had Taika Waititi in it.
Oh, and Taika, yeah, he plays the villain in it, and oh my goodness, he's over the top awesome. Loved it. This movie also, this was the first movie to come out in theaters that was not on any streaming service, and it made a lot of money. That made people go, wait, we can go to the theaters again?
Finally.
I know a lot of people out there think that Spider-Man is the one that brought people back into the seats of theaters. You're wrong. It's actually Free Guy.
Free Guy was the warm-up act that started getting people ready to get back into the theaters. I tell you what, honestly, looking at Ryan Reynolds, looking at Chris Pratt, I think those two are going to be two of your leading men in this decade. And they're probably going to be like nobody. There was a time in the 80s when absolutely nobody would have expected Tom Hanks to be one of the top draws in Hollywood.
Sure.
Okay? These two, Ryan Reynolds, now more than when he did Green Lantern, and Chris Pratt, those two strike me as potential long-legged, long-lasting leading men.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Aquafina. So, she'll always be one of the top leading men in Hollywood.
Okay, now this could be very controversial to you.
Yeah, what are we up to now? Number 3?
Number 3.
Yeah.
Okay, now there is a reason. Look, I just want to explain. It's really hard to put these 3 movies in best category and to know which one's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I will explain it all.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I just knocked the cards right out of his hands.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you're gonna have to come up. I can think of one movie that could hang with Afterlife, but you're gonna be hard pressed to tell me the other one.
You're not. No, you're not. You're gonna hurt me.
Probably.
Okay, so
yes, Ghostbusters Afterlife was one of the top 3 films of the year.
yes,
I would call it one of the top 2 films of the year, Christopher. But oh my goodness, a film that actually restored my faith in people. This, after being force-fed so much dreck for so long, especially when over the past couple of years with all the Koofa-mania and stuff going on, this is the one that really restored my faith in storytelling in Hollywood. And of course, the fact that Sony, a Japanese film studio that doesn't necessarily subscribe to America's fad of the moment, means they're a little more immune to wokeism. This means that they were actually able to develop characters and tell an effective story. It did take a long time to get off the ground, but man, once it got off the ground, it was worth the wait to me. Yes. I absolutely adored this movie.
This movie was freaking amazing.
Also, as a father of a daughter who's just way out there, then yeah, I can kind of empathize with Egon and his daughter. So anyway, this film was amazing.
Yes.
Continue.
The Ghostbusters was an amazing movie. Loved it all the way around. It was one of those that like it's like thank you for being here. You know, it was like you literally wanted to kiss its feet because I mean, even when you knew who was going to be behind the movie, and it's like it's you know Ivan Reitman's what's in that? What is it, Jason Reitman?
Yeah.
It's like you knew, it's like, okay, so it's staying in the family here. So we knew what we were going to have, and plus, not to mention the original Ghostbusters were actually going to come back as original Ghostbusters. Hell yes.
And they came in and saved the day too. Spoiler alert: they came in and saved the day instead of being treated like disposable punchlines, as certain other alleged Ghostbuster films have done over the past 5 years.
Now, okay, go on.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
The reason why this is at number 3 is because even though I love this movie,
Yeah.
I really wish that they would have put the Ghostbusters and brought them in way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish that. There's also certain scenes that I could also, when I have it on DVD, I probably like fast forward through it just a tad bit to get to the good part.
Uh-huh.
So that's the only reason. Okay, those are the only reasons. I have nothing against anything else. Just that's it. But still worthy to watch. Which brings to number 2.
A quick note. Okay, I understand you wanted the Ghostbusters in earlier. You realize they're all about 70.
I know.
Even
but
Annie
it
Potts
doesn't
is about
matter.
70. They're not going to be able to sit there. They're not Clint Eastwood. They're not going to be able to pull off an entire movie by themselves.
They can.
Well, Ernie Hudson could. Did you know Ernie Hudson was the oldest of the bunch? He was born in
No
45.
way.
He was born in 45.
He looks better than the rest of them.
Brother, hey, crack don't black, man. Black don't crack. I
Wait,
should
is
say.
it only?
That's Ernie Hudson today. Yeah.
That is
Look up Ernie
unbelievable.
Hudson's IMDb page, and you'll see what a 77-year-old man can look like.
Dang.
Well, 76. I take that back. He was born on December 17th. But anywho.
Well, yeah. All right, number 2, Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Okay, just explain yourself. Number two is what I'm beginning to think of your whole top 20 list. But go ahead, explain to me why Spider-Man: No Way Home is not the best movie of the year.
Okay, look. He's gonna kill me for all this. I love Spider-Man: No Way Home. I did. I thought it was fantastic. Also, very predictable.
Well, yeah.
Also, it seemed to be more comic booky than actual, like if they was going for like a riveting story, which there's nothing wrong with that. Still enjoyed it. Still enjoyed the characters. Still loved how Green Goblin was like literally better than what we got in Sam Raimi's version.
Ooh, watch it there, boy.
I actually do.
I will
He was
slap you
more.
on that
He
one.
was more like that scene where he's like fighting Peter. Like he
Yes.
was more vicious, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, because back in Spider-Man 2, the Raimi version, he was conflicted. He wasn't used to hearing the things talk to him, and he did get worse through the movie. Spoiler alert until the very end, but it was.
Not pooping on
But
that.
No, I appreciate that, and let's face it, Willem Dafoe. I never thought of him as Green Goblin. I cannot look at Willem Dafoe without hearing him talk like this. But it's
I mean, he didn't even need the helmet.
no, he didn't.
All he had to do
did
was
not.
smile. It was like,
And that's just it. Halfway through the movie, he lost the helmet. He broke it in pieces. He didn't need it
yeah.
because he's. You know why?
What?
Because he's that friggin' awesome. Okay.
It was a great. I mean, again, great movie. I'm sorry.
He's Willem Dafoe, for crying out loud.
No, like
Willem Dafoe is greater than Hollywood, okay?
I know. The
Dadgummit.
movies were fantastic.
And you have Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina in there. Yeah, it had Jamie Foxx, but it's got Benedict in it, man. It's got BC. And the Department of Damage Control. I'm surprised they didn't just slap DC on everybody's shoulders and just to screw with everybody. Yes, it was a 2.5-hour fan service movie, okay? And yes, it was a half hour too long. They could have lost a half hour and nobody would have lost any sleep over it. But
Okay, see, those were that's why I put number 2. Plus, again, Jamie Foxx. I know he is a great actor. I know he has it in him. But he turned total hood in this movie.
yeah, he did.
And I did not like it.
No.
It was just like, what?
I have never seen the Amazing Spider-Man movie that he was in, like Amazing Spider-Man 2, I
Yeah,
think. So I didn't see either of those
it was
movies.
not like that.
The movies didn't impress anybody because it was supposed to be its own trilogy and they couldn't even get the third one done, and and honestly they're still crying over that one. But
This one was pretty much just a love letter to the Spider-Man fans, no matter
yeah.
where you lean toward.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
which is fine, and especially after the last few Marvel movies we've gotten, we needed a good roller coaster movie. So anyway, all right, Chris, number one, go ahead. Now I already tore up your geek card over Christmas because we sat there and we
I
played
want it back.
'90s trivia,
I want it back.
and I even started throwing out, "Hey everybody, what's the name of the comic shop that Rocco worked at in Rocco's Modern Life?" And you could not remember.
Okay, look.
Everybody
So
at
you're not-
home, say it together.
Look.
Kind of
look,
a lot of
look,
comics.
Look. I was
You know what?
looking at these movies as a film buff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody who loves movies, not just the
Yeah.
nostalgia, but the
Yeah.
lover of movies. The way
Okay.
things look.
Chris, we've been doing this for 3 years. How do I come at these movies?
Hard,
What-
I know,
Hard. Why do I come at it hard?
because it's fun.
Well, that's one thing. And I'm also a frustrated storyteller. Okay? So I come at it as a person who tells stories.
Okay, well then you
As,
might
as a
appreciate
person
this, but
as a
I don't.
person with skills in teaching, I tell stories. As a person who preaches, I tell stories. I go out and I tell stories to convince people to do things. This is why I keep doing these, and hopefully the chore of duty will be back next week. But so between those two, and next week on the chore of duty, we'll be asking where the hell all the Christians went. Believe me, I should have done this for Christmas Day, but I needed the time off. But so join us next week for that one, because there's an hour in itself. But anyway, all right, Chris, right between the eyes, let me have it, boy. What's the number one movie of 2021 from Geeking Out?
All right, so to my brother and to everybody who's listening, I just want to say, hear me out, okay? My number one pick is Encanto.
I just got a new Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory thing. It's a Willy Wonka Mego action figure. I found out at a Meyer store this past week, and I paid $15 for it. And I sat him down. He's got 14 points of articulation. He's got full cloth dress on. He's got the big old hat. He actually kind of looks like Gene Wilder with a sinus
He
infection.
does. Yeah.
He is currently sitting on top. I had him sitting cross-legged on top of my tower PC here in my library. I mean the Who What Where Studios, and just sitting there just to keep an eye on things. Right now, he is standing at the very edge, and he's flipping Chris off. Okay, Chris, explain to me. Why is my Willy Wonka action figure flipping you off right now over in Encanto?
Because Encanto is a movie about this family who has magic powers based off of pretty much love. It's like love gave them powers. And I know it. Look, I know this sounds stupid, but this is the latest Disney movie that came out. It went to theaters and it didn't do too good because, well, Spider-Man and stuff like that. But it hit Disney Plus for free, and everybody is talking about this movie. I finally got to sit down and watch this movie, and the visual, the storytelling, the story in the story, the each character, everything about this movie I absolutely loved. All the way down to the music. The music I cannot get out of my head. Again, music from Lynn himself. And like it's just I've never seen nothing like it, and it stands out to me because it literally takes place in one area. That's their house. You get to see the outside of the village. You get to see the village. But still, the village, you got the village and then there's the house. That's all you see. It's just one area. And you can literally make a play out of this because it's all done in one spot. But it's just the magic, the way the magic works, all these characters and their inner feelings. And there's no villain in this movie. No bad guy. Which is really unique. The way I see it, this is actually a perfect story that I would really say never gets really told or has never told or been told before. So that's why it is number one in my spot. Again, it was a hard decision, but after I sat there, and trust me, I sat there and thought about this. And like, I can pick all the weak points in Spider-Man and Ghostbusters, which is why this one's number one, because of the story itself. And the characters in the story, and the setting, and the beauty of it is what makes me love this movie. But again, Spider-Man and Ghostbusters, mwah! Love those movies. Will love those movies. That's why they're in the top three.
Mm-hmm. Let me explain what happened with Encanto, okay?
Okay.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is the guy who did Hamilton, 10 years ago.
Hamilton?
All of a sudden, he's got how many movie projects coming out in a single year? 3, right? He's got 3. We've mentioned his name 3 times so far.
Yes.
And he's involved in this one. This is a movie with a Hispanic cast.
Yes.
Okay, it's about Hispanic characters. It's a story based in Hispanic culture. A lot of people saw this and thought it's another preachy movie and never gave it a chance, including me. Okay? Now, you're going to go out on a limb. You're going to put your street cred on the line, and you're going to tell me that Encanto is better than Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is a movie I absolutely adored, and Spider-Man No Way Home, which is a movie I very, very much liked. It was one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. I put it right up there with Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. I put it right up there in the top 3. If you're going to tell me that Encanto is that good, I am going to reserve judgment on you. Okay? In 2 weeks, we will do another Geekin' Out. And this will be somewhere around the 16th, I guess. It'll be around Martin Luther King Day, I think. We'll get this together. I will watch Encanto sometime the next 2 weeks on Disney Plus, and I will decide whether this is worth watching or not. In 2 weeks, you either get your geek card back, or I put you through the wall. Okay? So when we come back in
That's
2
not
weeks,
really
happy
fair.
campers.
You will not like this movie. Let me ask you, did you like Moana?
No.
Did you like Coco?
No. Never watched
You're
Coco,
not gonna
actually. Never actually watched Coco, but couldn't care less
There's
about
like
Coco.
no preachy in any one of those movies or this one, and
No,
they're
no.
perfect films.
Yeah,
I'm just
okay,
saying.
great. I will go in. I will set all my prejudice on the shelf, and I will say, okay, entertain me. But I swear to you, Chris, I swear to you, Chris, I will give this a fair shot. This is not a joke. I will give this a fair shot. In 2 weeks, I'll come back and let you and all the happy campers at home know what I thought about Encanto. And I will give it the best shot as I can. But I swear to you, Chris, if I don't like it, you are permanently stripped of your geek card. And if I put this thing on Disney Plus, and I swear to you, if it starts streaming in Spanish, I'm putting that TV. I don't know why, but for all of a sudden, every time I look up anything that has any Hispanic on the cast, for some reason, my Roku and every app on it is convinced I only speak Spanish. Every time I look at Lin-Manuel Miranda on anything, And I've just been using IMDb to look all these guys up, okay? So now it thinks I speak Spanish, okay? It's already got, Chris, look at the side here of my IMDb list. It's got a bunch of user lists. They're all in Spanish. 4 of the 5 are in Spanish.
I can't.
Okay.
Look, that's not my fault, man. I don't know.
I swear, if it's in Spanish, I will punch a hole in space and time, and I will yank you back to the beginning of 2021 and make you live it all over again. You understand me? Boy, that was a nice big jump in there, too.
So basically, everybody, you're going to see me, or you're going to hear me die on the audio. So.
Yep. And matter of fact, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find myself a freaking microphone that will work with our high definition camera just so I can get the picture of your death perfectly for the prosecutor in my case. Okay?
What didn't you not like about Moana?
Because it was a big beefy guy. Who played the big beefy guy, Chris?
The Rock.
Yeah, there you go. And what was The Rock playing?
Big beefy guy? A god, a demigod, yeah.
No, not a demigod. It was The Rock being
The
Rock as a demigod.
Well, The Rock's not in this one. Okay.
You better hope not, because if anybody will hear The Rock coming from 1,000 miles away, it'll be me. Okay? I don't want to see The Rock. I don't want to hear The Rock. I don't want to think about The Rock until Black Adam comes out, whenever the hell that comes out. But
either
honestly,
which way, guys, I have lost my geek card. I will never
his
get
geek
it back.
card is gone. He is suffering.
And
It is missing for the next 2 weeks. Okay, and like I said, on January 16th, we will get back together here at the Who What Where studio. We will record the next Geekin' Out, and we will decide, does Chris get his geek card back? Feel free to weigh in on our YouTube comments, on our Facebook page, on our whatever else we got going on.
Save me and tell this fool that this movie is actually good, okay?
Now you understand. My Willy Wonka action figure from Mego with the 14 points of articulation is now double flipping you, okay?
So, well, Willy Wonka can go play with his Oompa Loompas.
You're going to go down. You're going to go down to the juicing room there, son. All right. So until next time. Until the 16th, when we get together, I've watched Encanto, and I give my actual.
This is not fair. You're going to hate it no matter what.
My review of Encanto. I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
This was Geekin' Out. Well, I'm geeking out. I don't know what he's out. He's just out.
I'm out.
He's ass out. He's all ass out. So, till next time.
Yeah.
Ta-ya.
See ya.